So we're here at Unimarte in Denmark, an absolutely amazing aquarium store. I've been here a couple of times before and it has the most amazing hardscape selection. So I'm very excited to show you around, and we're going to select some beautiful rocks to use in our Brazilian style aquascape. So let's go and take a look around. So as you can see, an absolutely amazing aquarium store, and I'm so excited to pick some beautiful stones. Let's go to the back room where we're going to meet our assistant Sarah and select some of the most amazing rocks that you've ever seen. So as you can see, an absolutely astonishing amount and selection of hardscape materials here. We've got our soils here, we've got so many different types of wood, I can't list them all. We've got some beautiful stone here. This is called Lucana rock. This actually reminds me of the classic Sirius stone. Very beautiful pieces here. And as you can see, look at all these different types of roots. Something for everyone here. Actually a little bit overwhelming maybe if you're a beginner. To me, this is like one of the most impressive hardscape selections I think I've seen in an aquarium store in a long time. So I do feel like a bit of a kid in a sweetie shop. But we're here today to choose rocks for the Brazilian aquascape style. So let's go and take a look at the dojo and we can talk about that in a bit more detail. So here we've got the Aquascaping Dojo. This is basically a sand pit where we play around with our hardscape materials to make sure we've got the right type of hardscape, but also the right size pieces, and we can compose them and just practice this layout dry. We're not making a mess with any water or anything. And I think this is a great way to really allow the customers to have a really good play around. There's so much materials here and you can just play until your heart's content. And I do always recommend, especially to beginners, do really focus a lot on the hardscape. You know, choose the right materials, get them in the right position, and you're on your way to creating a beautiful aquascape. So here we are in the second hardscape area, also dry goods area for empty aquariums, etc. And I'm very excited to meet our guest, Sarah Kasper, who works here at Unimarte.
Hi.
And Sarah, tell us what you do here.
I'm here mainly as an aquascaper, but obviously it's a retail store.
Okay.
So I'm helping customers, I'm cleaning aquariums, doing all the things you would expect.
Yeah, excellent. And you are a keen aquascaper because you've actually helped us produce a video before for our YouTube channel. So we'll leave a link to that in the description. Yeah. It was the Christmas aquascape, wasn't it?
Yes.
Great job. And I'm so excited, Sarah, because these are some of the best rocks that I've ever seen. Is this Millennium Stone?
Yes.
Wow. And can you're a bit of a rock expert, aren't you? Can you tell us about anything about these?
I can actually. This is, as far as I can tell, pillow lava. So it's lava that's cooled down underwater. Wow. And you get these little bubbly bits on it, like by here. Yeah.
And that could because it's been melted and
it's because when it comes out underwater, or if it's going down to the seashore, it hits the water and it forms a crust. Wow. But behind it, it's still hot and pushing out, so it's almost like a bubble.
Wow, that's fascinating.
You get this lovely structure.
Yeah, it is really structured. You've got these gouges, these beautiful textures. And I think I've already had my eye on this one stone here. Yeah. Because it's a fairly large aquarium that we've got. It's a 90 centimetre long aquarium, so it's important to start off with a really nice, bold stone to start with. So my idea, I don't know if you agree with this, Sarah, but I was going to kind of create almost like a valley. Yeah. So this is like running backwards and forwards.
I like that.
And then something similar on this side. And then we have like graded gravels in the middle.
Nice.
And then loads of dense, beautiful planting with some select stones either side. To create this kind of Brazilian themed.
Yeah, with a mountain representation.
Yeah, yeah. Very steep substrate at the back.
Yeah.
Loads of intricate plants. Exciting. So I think this is definitely one to put to one side.
Definitely.
And then we need to pick a secondary stone.
Yeah. Maybe this one. It might be a bit too small though. Possibly this one.
Yeah, we can always use like a couple of pieces, couldn't we?
Yeah. And you can build them up with rocks that are similar shapes and hide the join with plants.
Exactly, and that's a good point. So if you don't necessarily have you know, your one beautiful piece, you can actually create it from smaller pieces.
You can.
Yeah. Okay, I like the look of this one. That's fancy. It's quite big, isn't it?
It is big. Oh, this one's even bigger. By here.
I think they get bigger the further down you go.
They do. We normally end up with rock all over the floor when customers are in these tanks.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
But we've got space to just pile them going across.
Well, that's a nice one.
Yeah, that's got lovely structure.
So we have to be mindful of not to use too many stones because we're actually taking up real estate from the plants. And obviously we've got that valley in the middle, so you're losing space there for planting. So we don't want to have too much rock.
No, and then you need to find rocks that complement each other as well with colour, tone and...
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because even if you have the same type of rock, millennium stone, you can get kind of different families, can't you? You get different kind of shades of brown, grey. It's
like this one here has got a lot of white calcite in it.
Yeah.
This is something I have to help the customers with a lot, actually.
Okay.
Because they often get a bit overpowered by all the choice that we
have.
have.
A bit overwhelmed.
Yeah.
There is. I got a little bit overwhelmed.
It's great, though.
Yeah, it is great.
Yeah.
I wish I lived nearer.
It's expensive.
Yeah, so we're going to have a really good rummage around in here, get some choice pieces, and then we'll take them over to the dojo and hopefully create a good dryscape layout. So we're reconsidering the whole kind of layout idea, and Sarah and I have discussed the idea of having a mountain kind of effect in the background, and we think this kind of suits that. But you were saying it depends on if it's a weathered mountain, because this looks like a weathered mountain.
It does.
Because it's quite curved, right?
Yeah, it does. I'm a bit of a rock geek, so apologies. But this one here, I always tell the customers, think of the story you're trying to tell. So we have a weathered mountain, so it's rounded, so we need to find other peaks that are also rounded to match it.
Ah, okay.
But lower down, we could have more jagged ones, because with weathering, bits of rock could have fallen off, which could also be on the bottom as part of the rubble. Okay,
gotcha. So we're using lessons from nature here, aren't we, for this aquascape? Even though it's quite a fantastical aquascape in terms of creating an underwater landscape, we can still use those lessons that you'd find in landscapes in the aquascape.
Which is what we tend to do anyway, we have streams underwater.
Yeah, great. I'm excited. So it's really important when you're working with stones to ensure that you kind of blend the textures together nicely so they look coherent and natural. You wouldn't, for instance, the obvious kind of mistake would be to mix types of stone. So if you had dragon stone mixed with millennium stone, the colours and the textures are just completely different, so it would look unnatural. But even when you go down to the actual same type of rock, you can get distinct differences. So when you're selecting your rocks, just try to make sure they all kind of have the same theme to them. Okay, so Sarah and I have come up with a basic hardscape layout. We've used kind of bulking out stones here to give us extra height to simulate the substrate that we're going to use. Actually, later on, we will be using some sponge, but we'll talk about that later. So it's now really important to remember where all the stones that we're using and where they're positioned. So good old mobile phone, you can take as many pictures as you like. I like to do plan view, and then a front shot, and then just a few from the sides, and then that gives you your reference for when you do the thing for real in your home aquarium. So that whole process, how long does that take us? About an hour? Hour and a half?
I'd say about an hour.
And we're both quite experienced, so I would recommend for a beginner, take days, even weeks.
Yeah.
You know, just practice your hardscape layout, do what you think looks good, sit with it for a while, see how it makes you feel, come back to it an hour or so later or another day or so later, make little tweaks, and you keep repeating that process until you've come up with your final layout that you don't think you can improve upon.
Yeah, it's important to get it right in the beginning.
It is, and stores like this with aquascaping dojos and such a great hardscape selection just makes your job as an aquascaper really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've come out with our final layout now. We've taken some photos of it for future reference so you can replicate this layout, well, not exactly, but near enough. Now it's time to take our rocks to the car so we can take them to Tropica. Back to the studio.